What's up, YouTube? It's time for a review of the new Metallica record, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, out last Friday, November 18th. No introduction needed here. I can't believe I'm reviewing a new Metallica record. Like, Death Magnetic feels so fucking long ago, and that's probably because it was. But I'm sitting here marveling at how different my life was back when Death Magnetic came out compared to now. 8 years fans have waited. That's like slowly approaching Chinese democracy territory. But I'm not of the belief that artists owe their fucking fans anything. The only people that an artist owes is a record label with whom they have a signed contract, and Metallica are so huge at this point that they've managed to avoid that. They've got their own Blackened Recordings label, which this record came out on. And plus, with Metallica, like, those first 4 records are going to keep giving and giving and giving until the end of fucking time. So I don't really like hearing these complaints about when they are or aren't dropping a new record. For me personally, it's been years since I regularly listened to Metallica, so I was just really stoked to kind of unpack this record at face value with a little bit more objectivity as opposed to when Death Magnetic came out and I had the whole fanboy thing going on. So, 12 songs, 77 minutes, 2,000 gazillion riffs. Metallica, of course, play very riff-driven music. Going all the way back to their first record, Kill 'Em All, Metallica's music has always been about the guitar riffs advancing the songs forward and everything else kind of following suit. Which is, of course, how a majority of heavy metal music works, but something that does irk me about Metallica's music is how this riff worship can lead to these loose, meandering song structures that begin to feel less like songs and more just like piles of riffs. Like the first minute 40 seconds of a song like All Nightmare Long off Death Magnetic is a good example of that. It's just these loosely related ideas kind of strung together like a run-on sentence. And of course, James Hetfield is one of the best fucking riff writers in the history of heavy metal, but that doesn't mean that Metallica's music couldn't benefit from tighter and more economical structures. And this issue is as pronounced as it's ever been on Hardwired to Self-Destruct. These songs often just stack ideas with little regard for quality control, and it leads to a lot of wasted space. I feel like I'm playing a game of I Spy with good riffs sometimes. Like, there are dozens and dozens of awesome riffs on here, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of left to cherry pick them among the clutter. The track Now That We're Dead is a great example of this. The verse riff is just this boring, basic chug that totally puts me to sleep. The pre-chorus riff is like an undercooked Black Sabbath B-side, but then the post-chorus riff is a lot of fun and has a lot of great motion to it and just really sticks right in your head. By the way, if you're looking to follow along, this post-chorus riff that I'm talking about, it first pops into the song about a minute in. But this track illustrates how the hit or miss quality of a lot of these riffs can lead to a real uneven listening experience. 1 minute you're banging your head like crazy, and the next minute you're just like, Dream No More is a second example. I am absolutely enamored with that droning main riff that first shows up about 38 seconds into the song. Just love it. But then that lumbering chorus riff, the you turn, to stone. With a lot of these songs, I'm like, dude, trim the fat. Like, these songs would be so fucking sick with like 2 or 3 minutes just chopped right off. So there's that. And then there's my biggest issue with any Metallica record, and that's Kirk Hammett's guitar playing. Look, a bunch of his guitar solos in the 80s were great. Some of them even iconic. But a lot of the time, I just think he's fucking terrible. It's just the same old, tired, minor pentatonic riffs, the same rape of the wah pedal, the same ugly vibrato. It just, whenever he comes in on Hardwired, the guitar snob in me just goes into overdrive. Just listen to the guitar solo in the song Man Unkind. To me, this solo does absolutely nothing for this song but just drag it out a little bit and induce a minor headache. Of course, I will give props where props are due. I really dig Kirk's solo on the track Am I Savage, which is otherwise my least favorite cut on here. But with Am I Savage, he was given absolutely nothing to work with in terms of a rhythmic background. It's like this one note chug, yet he somehow pulls off an elegantly phrased, yet still kind of spazzy solo on this song. I think it's great. But still, between my general irritation with Kirk Hammett's lead playing and the bloated song structures and lyrics that really do nothing for me, there are several things about this album that genuinely bother me. All that being said, let's talk positive shit. So I've characterized this album as a giant pile of riffs, and we've been over the downside of that. But of course, there is an enormous upside. Once you put some of the duds aside, this fucking record is chock full of unbelievably fun and catchy and hard-hitting guitar riffs. Your ears are flooded with them by the end of it. There's obviously way too many to name, but some of my very favorites include that droning Dream No More riff that I already mentioned, the insanely catchy main riff in the song Man Unkind, pops in about a minute into that song, the main riff in Confusion is sick, the song Halo on Fire has a slamming fucking riff that comes in about like 4 minutes and 50 seconds. All 12 tracks have multiple gems in the riff department. And the song Moth into Flame is one moment where everything comes together for me. Unlike a lot of the tracks on here, Moth into Flame has seamless transitions between parts, and just the verse riff grooves so fucking hard, and I love the ascending tail to that main riff, and how at the end of the chorus, James Hetfield matches that tail vocally, and Kirk Hammett contributes some essential guitar melodies to this song. It's going to go down as one of my very, very favorite Metallica songs. I also want to shout out the closing song, Spit Out the Bone, which not only features some awesome drumming from Lars Ulrich with those blistering double kicks, but also in the middle section of the track prominently features Robert Trujillo. His bass playing gets more time to shine on here than it did on all of Death Magnetic. And in general, the bass is mixed a tad higher on Hardwired, which beefs up the record's sound and is one of many ways in which Hardwired is sonically superior to Death Magnetic. So the thing about Hardwired to Self-Destruct is when you don't relentlessly scrutinize it and overanalyze it like I just did and just sit back and enjoy it, it's ultimately a fun, rocking record. I just personally have some gripes with it that are tough for me to overlook. But that doesn't mean that I'm not into it, and that doesn't mean that I'm not blown away by how hard Metallica are still rocking 35 years into their career. And while these songs aren't necessarily sticking with me, a ton of the riffs are, and I'm definitely going to keep listening to this record and see if down the road it grows on me a bit more. Hardwired to Self-Destruct, it's a 6 out of 10 from me. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or shoot me a message so we can continue to talk music, and I'll see you guys soon.